it's been another just wild week in the Xbox Activision Blizzard merger saga. Lots of stuff going on. Probably one of the biggest things that has happened recently has been the stuff with the CMA and them updating their provisional findings, right? So initially they had three main issues when it came to Xbox acquiring Activision Blizzard. They had the console market that they had issues with, the cloud market, and then they had the enforcement of the remedies and the commitments that Microsoft was going to make for this deal to pass. And this week, or was it maybe it was probably last week?
Last week.
Last week, yeah, thank you. So last week they came out and they said that they don't have any more concerns about the console market. Specifically, this is what they said. They say, having considered the additional evidence provided, we have now provisionally concluded that the merger will not result in a substantial lessening of competition in console gaming services because the cost to Microsoft of withholding Call of Duty from PlayStation would outweigh any gains from taking such action. I mean, and that was something I think like anybody reading through these arguments that PlayStation was making, that Microsoft was making, and then the concerns that the regulatory bodies had, the conclusion I think a lot of people thought was going to happen because they were thinking that Microsoft was going to withhold Call of Duty from PlayStation and they were going to degrade the game, make the price higher on PlayStation, all these things that made just absolutely no business sense. But they've looked at more information and that's the decision they've come to specifically on the console market. And another thing people were talking about here was how they define the console market, which is like the high-end consoles, which does not include the Nintendo Switch. It only includes Xbox and PlayStation, which probably worked in the favor of Microsoft with how these regulatory bodies defined that because it made PlayStation look like it had an even bigger lead overall than they currently do in regards to all the consoles out there. So that was the first big thing. And I guess we'll just do this in pieces and we'll start on that. And we'll start with you, Ecstasies. What do you think about this? And what do you think this means for the deal going forward, and you think it's going to close all that type of stuff?
Okay, I was very negative about the deal because I was learning, studying, because I'm a lawyer, but I'm a maritime lawyer. I don't work anything about mergers and acquisitions. But I spent a lot of time studying, reading, and I've had the sensations that the CMA was arguing about the structural remedies because they've never before have accepted the structural, the behavioral remedies, just one or two times in all their history, and they have reviewed like more than 100 of mergers and acquisitions. That it's a very hard case for Microsoft, but this change is open other different scenario because we had one theory of harm that was the console market, that was a huge and the most important market for the structural remedies, because we were talking about the Call of Duty disinvestment, or Call of Duty and all the studios of Call of Duty, or Call of Duty and the Blizzard studios, whatever, but you have to sell unless Call of Duty and the studios of Call of Duty. If you can't, you have to sell Call of Duty and all the Activision studios. And if you can't sell that, you can sell Activision and Blizzard full. For me, it's very, very positive. It's a huge and amazing and awesome work of the lawyers because they could argument that the CMA made a mistake. They made a mistake of the maths. A math error make that the scenario changed completely because the theory of harm, they were counting only 1 year and Microsoft was talking about 5 years. And obviously, make Call of Duty exclusive when you buy Activision Blizzard King, it's a non-business sense because if you have a player base, you have a fan base, make that extreme change, it's bad for your trademark. Call of Duty, it's a very valuable trademark, and if you make bad movements for the fans are going to leave. We have a lot of shooters, a lot of market, a lot of shooters are coming soon. So you are the guardian of an IP, so you have to care that IP, and you can do whatever you want. So for me, are a very good news because right now I'm more positive than negative. And before, when I saw the provisional findings and say, I don't say it's over, but I say it's a very hard battle, and I don't think we were going to win. But right now, it's very positive, and with all the agreements in the cloud market, I think that they will make concessions in Europe and UK on the same way. And I think it's positive for all the strategy and all the way that this deal is going through. But we have the problems with the FTC, but we're going to talk about that next.
Yeah, no, I think the EU and the CMA have. Well, we will talk about next, but I think what decision they come to is going to have a big effect on the FTC. But what we'll throw to, let's go with Silent. What do you think about this?
Sorry about that. I had myself on mute so you didn't have to hear me cough. No, I think I land in the same boat as Ecstasy's was, right? Is like there was a good moment there where I was convinced, like, okay, this thing's dead in the water. Things are gonna fail. This isn't gonna happen. And I was getting kind of nervous because, like, I know obviously we've talked about the scorched earth scenarios in the past as to, like, well, what if this doesn't go through? What happens if this doesn't go through? Like, I felt like it was going to be a really messy situation. And, you know, it could still be, right? Like, there's always time. There's still time for this. But it feels more often than not now, it feels like it's got a path forward that it didn't have previously. I'd be very curious as to what other things come out as the next little bit follows up, right? Because we're supposed to start hearing some like confirmation and finalization on this stuff here in the next few weeks, right? It's April 26th is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. That's for the CMA, and then the EU.
Oh, yeah, sorry for CMA.
European Union is 22nd of May, and CMA 26th of April. But it's because in Europe, they make a market test of the remedies, and in UK, they think that that market test is like a I don't know how to say the word. It's like a popularity vote. It's like a popularity vote, and they make other things to study the remedies. That's why.
Yeah. So I mean, that's good. I mean, honestly, I'm sure everyone here, like, it's been fun seeing all the back and forth of all this stuff over the last bit. But I'm sure all of us are looking forward to like a finalization of this. Like, I think all of us just want to get to the point where we actually see like the fruits of the labor, this very extreme labor that has happened over the last, year, I guess already. It's nuts. It's wild. That's already been a year. But yeah, no, like I said, I think I'm sitting right around the same as them. Is like I feel like there's a path forward now based on some of the details that we're actually starting to get. I feel like over the last few weeks, especially as I've been trying to catch up, it feels like things are moving more and more towards this thing actually sealing and closing. So,
yeah, crazy. Sorry, you guys have any thoughts on this? Should we keep it going on to the next part of it?
Keep it going, brother. Keep it going. For me, you can keep it going.
Keep it going. All right. So then there was a bunch of other stuff that happened, and this mainly, I guess, we'll talk about the FTC now, which a lot of the stuff happened this week, and I think at the end of last week as well, where there was some documents that were requested. We've heard that it isn't just Sony and PlayStation who haven't been really complying to wanting to provide all of the documents that they've been asked to provide. Seems like Microsoft as well. And I guess Microsoft's argument towards not providing these documents was the fact that they feel like these are the least important documents and that they've already provided a lot of this stuff. And it's just going to be tedious to actually provide these documents to the FTC. But the judge has actually ordered that they do need to provide them. And I believe it's like 81 requests for production that the FTC had made, and now they're going to actually have to go forward and provide a bunch of stuff that they have asked. So that'll be interesting what that does in terms of if it does help the FTC's case, or is this just the FTC doing their thing, trying to make it difficult on Microsoft? Because one thing we can, I guess you could kind of say here with the FTC, with Lena Khan and everything that we've seen, is that she's really just trying to show that the FTC is a a strong part of the government that isn't going to take shit from anybody type of thing. At least that's what it looks like as an outsider looking in. And then we also have Congress on top of that, who has been pressing, getting questions asked about Japan and asking that there needs to be a look into the competition in Japan. And specifically, let's just see. Do I have what their quote, what they say? They say, "Today we write to bring to your attention the imbalanced Japanese video game market, which we are concerned may be a result of a discriminatory trade practice that could violate the spirit of the US-Japan Digital Trade Agreement." And they are using a massive number here to kind of show the difference with the advantage that PlayStation has in Japan over Xbox. They're using the 98% market dominance, which doesn't really make any sense because they're not including Nintendo, of course. But that, again, is what the regulators have used as a definition, which is the high-end console market.